I first discovered this garden on Instagram when I was admiring the harvest baskets brimming with produce. And then I discovered this garden was but 5 minutes from my front door. So I set about, determined to check it out. This garden is a wonderland full of edible goodness. And today you're invited to come and check it out. Let's go behind the garden gate. Welcome to Inge's garden. When she first moved in here, there was nothing but a patch of lawn. Her edible gardening journey started back in 2019 with a single veggie bed, and now the whole garden is overtaken with flowers and edibles. It's absolutely beautiful. The focal point of the backyard is definitely this big, beautiful glass house. This was one of the first things that Inge put in, and when she did so, it was just surrounded by a lawn. I love that she told me she didn't have much of a plan for her garden, and it just evolved naturally. A glass house here and a few veggie boxes here, and then a few more beyond there. But it actually has come together really, really nicely. It allows you to wander through the garden to explore, and there are edibles and beautiful flowers everywhere. On my way into the glass house, this area is a perfect example of Inge's use of companion plants. Everything here is grown organically, so she's using companion plants and exclusion, which I'll show you later, to control pests in her garden. Here you've got some lovely orange trees and great big wine barrels, and they're surrounded by flowers. Of course, the ranunculus down here, some poppies, borage, and there's even some lupin in here as well that's yet to flower. And we've got to make mention of these stunning sweet peas. Inge grows loads of things from seeds. At the moment she's got chillies and eggplants and capsicums and tomatoes on the go. So she uses the glass house to raise her seedlings, but also to extend her harvest window. I can see her tomato plants and eggplants that she's got growing in here are way more advanced than the ones at my place, which aren't in a glass house. I can see that Inge's using heat mats in here, which of course gets those sun-loving, summer-loving seedlings going a lot faster. And it's quite clever the way she's using these recycled plastic trays just to hold a little bit of moisture around the roots. Because it's so nice and warm in here, this helps to stop the seedlings drying out too quickly. This gravel is a new addition to the garden. The last time I was here, this was just grassy patches, and Inge was finding it quite boggy and soggy and obviously messy. So the gravel solves all those problems, and it creates a nice pathway that invites us to explore. Is a perfect example of how much food you can really fit into a veggie garden. Obviously there's plants crammed in everywhere, but just in these little beds directly around me now, I can see potatoes, cauliflower, red cabbage, green cabbage, broccoli, chilli that's been overwintered, beetroot, purple potted peas, some broccolini, some rainbow chard, some garlic, some rocket, all just immediately around me, and it's all looking so lush. Inge's a big fan of making things easier for herself, so all of these veggie beds are on an irrigation system, which obviously means it's a lot easier to water. However, she has had a big problem with slugs and snails, and I can see down here she's put some copper tape on the edge to try and stop them eating her young seedlings. But because she's had such a problem with them eating lettuce, she's decided to put the lettuce and any of your leafy salad greens into these veg pods, which exclude them completely. And I can tell you, everything in there looks perfect. Because of the ideal aspect of this garden, you're north, that's east and that's west, it gets a lot of sunshine. So Inge really can squeeze veggie beds in wherever she can, and she always makes use of space. I can see that she's even popped another one in there. had to clamber back here because I could spot a bush tucker bed in here. There's some salt bush. I can see some pig face down the bottom, and I can smell this Prostrantha. It smells amazing. Also in this bush tucker bed, she's got a sub pod, which she uses for all of her kitchen scraps. She does have a composting system around the side of the house, but she finds this sub pod really easy and efficient to use. The garden gently slopes down here, but to avoid drainage problems, these raised beds are perfect. And Inge's of course making use of more vertical space with trellises and arches, and there is just plants everywhere. And here is another veg pod with a really productive patch of lettuce. Now before long the eggplants are going to go in here, and because of this exclusion net on the top, Inge is going to be able to control some annoying pests that plagued her eggplants last season. Inge decided to keep these bottle brush in a very informal hedge here. These were here when she originally moved in. So they work really well to bring in native birds and of course all the pollinators. Can you picture this when they're all in flower? It would just be a sea of fluffy red. Coming around the other side of the glass house now, and of course there's some more veggie beds. These are nice and narrow that fit well in the space, and Inge uses these for your longer growing crops. They're not something that you can access easily every day, so things like onions, garlic, shallots, some more potatoes, they're all in here. Inge loves her chillies, and these chillies have been overwintered in her glasshouse. So what she does is she digs them up, puts them into a pot each, and then puts them in the glasshouse for overwinter. And then come spring, when the weather starts to warm up, they can come back out into the garden where they'll continue their cycle all over again. And she grows some pretty quirky chillies. She's gifted me a few called Peter's Penis. Off the lawn here and into the garden beds, I can spot a number of fruit trees. There's a tomatillo, an apple, a pear, I can see a plum over there. The thing I like about the use of fruit trees in this space is that Inge's keeping them all quite short. There's no point having huge towering fruit trees that you can't harvest from and that just become a nuisance. With the recent landscaping work that Inge's had done, she tells me that the garden is now in its maintenance phase. But I still think that each time I come back, or if you check her out on Instagram, you will see something new. Because like every good gardener, we can't help tinkering.